So here's what we're going to reflect on really quickly here. Um, I am able to admit when I'm wrong. So in order to heal myself and not stay in the state of victimhood, uh, here's the actions that I could have done differently. And all of them stem with fear. Okay. All of them have a root of fear. Now, fears can be real, they can be actualized, they don't have to remain in the false evidence appearing real. Some fears are stem from true insightfulness, okay? But it doesn't mean that I had to allow it to run me. So I could have chose not to go there. Once I chose to go there, I could have chose to um, say it even though other people were in the room. When we were alone, I could have chose to get up and leave. Once the action happened and I didn't make that choice, which again, this is mental illness takes away your choice. So if I was not mentally ill, there would be a different response there. Mental illness takes your choice. I didn't have a choice once mental illness kicked in, okay? But neither here or there, when we were alone and I realized we were alone, I could have gotten up before anything happened. The next, once things did happen, I could have chose to speak right away. Next incident, once the truth was told, and once the truth was told, there was a time where he came back and I did not take him back. And then I came back. I could have chose not to come back. Then once I chose to come back and things weren't going well, I came back and I came back and I came back. And the most important thing about that cycle there is that I was in a state of taking toxic accountability. Okay? There's nothing that I really did. Um, there's nothing that I really did. I, I already took accountability when I said the truth. So everything else that I did after that was toxic accountability. I was just trying to make up for what I did, but I already did. And I overdid it. I was over accountable. And that I have to take responsibility for being over accountable and learning that that's not a thing. That's not a good thing. I'm not I'm not good because I just spent the last 3.5 years taking shit, thinking that that would make me good. I was good because I told the truth 2 years prior to that. Okay. All this other shit is my fault. Because I didn't have to come back. I didn't have to come back. I could have allowed his version of events to live on. And he would still be walking around thinking he has it if I didn't stick around. Because I'm the only reason you got tested, right? I'm the only reason you got tested. So you would have still been walking around thinking your life was ruined and being rude to other people and isolating yourself and being depressed and all that stuff. You would have still been doing that. And I still wouldn't have been wrong because I took accountability by just telling the truth. I was already done. Then you gotta, it's my fault. What I experienced is my fault because I came back thinking that I had to make up for what I did, thinking that I had to be accountable for something that was not my fault. Because it didn't, the infraction doesn't exist. I didn't have to do that to myself. So I'm able to say, hey, I did that to myself. Yeah, you weren't very nice to me and you weren't doing the right thing, but I was trying to be over accountable. So now it's your turn to do that. But I'm able to move on now because you wanted me. You told me to move on, like 3 months in, okay? And then I said to you, bro, that's 2,000 times faster than what you did. You didn't even move on for 5 years, and you're still fucking telling me some bullshit. So I know that you're not moved on now. You're like, I did move on. Oh, okay, all right. So let me show you how to move on. I'm gonna do it. And then I said, I can't be better than you all the time, you know. Yes, I can. I moved on because I did this to myself. I'm okay with that now because now I learned the lesson. I was learning it already. Remember them videos back before I exposed all this truth? I was talking about toxic accountability and uh, the difference between excuses and what was it? It was excuses versus causation, right? I was explaining that because I was already moving towards figuring out what it was. I was already moving on. You didn't know. I was already moving on. Each time you were doing something mean to me, I was blocking you in different areas of my life. You can't contact me on that phone number no more. You can't contact me on Facebook no more. You can't contact me over here. I was blocking you each time you were doing something. This right here was the last method of communication. And you weren't reaching out to me on those other lines. That's what I would do when you would go ghost me. And then you would come back like, oh, I got, right? So I just stopped contacting you on those. You didn't even notice that. I was already on my way out. But there was one last task, and that was to get the truth. The truth has been got. I can accept that I was overly accountable here, that I took unnecessary suffering because I was being over accountable. That is toxic accountability. But there was a point in which I did healthy accountability, and that was at the very beginning when I told you. Well, it wasn't the very beginning, but at the 2 year mark, I told you the truth. Then we had this last 5 years of some random shit, okay, that wasn't necessary because then I didn't have to do this to myself. So that is the reflection that I had today. And I thought that it might benefit someone to hear it. Now I'm really getting into my day, okay? Erin's about to get up here in a few minutes and our day starts. So y'all have a good day.